we have debated this resolution when it was here as Senate Joint Resolution 1, so I will not take up much of the body's time as it relates to House Joint Resolution 1. The only thing I would like to say to us today is we must begin to see a world without discrimination of any kind. Equality based on sex is not just good for women, it is good for society. Advocate Alice Paul once said that there is nothing complicated about equality. There is nothing complicated about passage of the Equal Rights Amendment. It is a moment whose time has come. As the state where a founding father wrote the Constitution, it is only appropriate that Virginia be the 38th state to ratify the ERA so that we can ultimately bring about the reality of a more perfect union so that women can be included in We the People. I thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Locke. The senior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking to the resolution.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. 400 years ago, an experiment began here in Virginia that created representative democracy. That representative democracy was not representative of all of the people who are here now. The colonists recognized they needed women to have a permanent colony here, but gave them no rights. 231 years ago, Abigail Adams said, "Remember the ladies, and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors." 230 years later, we're about to do that. Today, we take a major step to join over 100 other countries who in their constitutions recognize equality on the basis of sex or gender. Today, as Senator Locke said, we take a major step towards that more perfect union, equality for all, where all of our children, boys and girls, will be protected. It is my pleasure, Madam President, to ask passage of the amendment.
The senator from Chesterfield, Senator Chase.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to speak against this bill.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The thought that this ERA bill is to empower women is instead making women and those who support it look naive and uneducated, considering the amendment language never even mentions women. People can either read the bill in its full length, seeing it for the dangers against women it holds, or continue listening and spewing the liberal ERA talking points. The ERA does nothing for true equality of women, but uses women as a pawn to push the liberal agenda. The vague, poorly written language of the ERA does not allow any distinction to be made between men and women, even when it makes sense to do so based on their biological differences. As a result, the ERA will harm women and their children, born and unborn, by overturning laws and programs that benefit them. The ERA would be used to overturn all restrictions on abortion, including the partial birth abortion ban, third trimester abortion ban, and parental notice of minors seeking an abortion. The Equal Rights Amendment would be used to mandate taxpayer funding of elective Medicaid abortions. The so-called Equal Rights Amendment would impact the privacy and safety of women and girls by removing gender designations for bathrooms, locker rooms, jails, and hospital rooms. Women already have claim to equal rights through the 14th Amendment, Section 1, as well as numerous other laws in virtually all areas of American life. Employment, including equal pay, education, credit eligibility, housing, public accommodations, and the list goes on. The U.S. Supreme Court has already applied the 14th Amendment to women's issues. Ladies and gentlemen, we as Virginians believe and support that our rights come from our Creator. I believe that this very bill does completely the opposite. Thank you, Madam President.
The senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to speak in favor of adopting the resolution.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I will just say that what this does is enshrine the rights on the basis of sex in our Constitution. It does not confer any particular legal right. So the issues that have just been raised from the senator from Chesterfield really would be issues if, in fact, they were based on discrimination that would be elevated to our courts, just as we have always done. This is a very important step in the history of our country, and I think it really emboldens the values for which we've all stood for. I sincerely ask that the body pass this. It is our time. It is our time to make this statement, and it is our time to be the 38th state to ratify this amendment. Thank you.
The senior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to rebut the senator from Chesterfield, as someone who has been well educated by more than one of our Virginia universities, the 19th Amendment, which provided the right for women to vote, uses the exact same terms as the ERA on the basis of sex. So there will not be any confusion on what that means. Republicans have supported the Equal Rights Amendment since before I was born, including here in this chamber multiple times. Justice Scalia, not exactly someone who supported the liberal agenda, said that the Constitution certainly does not require discrimination on the basis of sex. The only issue is whether it prohibits it. It does not. With our action today, we will ensure that it won't. And I renew the motion to pass HJ1.
Seeing no other senators who desire to speak, this is going to be a voice vote. The question is, shall HJR 1 to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment be agreed to? All in favor of that motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Seeing 8 hands, it will be a recorded vote. The question is, shall HJR 1, ratification and affirm the Equal Rights Amendment, be agreed to? All in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 27, noes 12.
Ayes 27, noes 12. HJR 1 has passed.